Hello.
Hello.
To begin with, could you say your name and the year that you were born?
Okay, my name is Mai Liem. First name Liem, and I was born in 1958.
And to help us understand the context, could you describe for us your life in the early 1970s, in the years before the end of the war?
Okay, before that, I was in Nha Trang. I live in Nha Trang, attending high school there, and I moved to Saigon in 1974. So we have a family of 8, my parents and 6 children, including myself. Okay, so my parents served in the army of the South Vietnam, and my mother was a housekeeper. And I have 3 older sisters and brothers, and both are university students right at the 1975. And I have one younger brother and one younger sister who was grade 10 and grade 6. And right at 1975, I was a grade 12 high school student and close to finish the high school.
Was your father absent a lot, or?
My father, at that time, the whole family lived in Nha Trang and Saigon since 1975. But my father working at Cần Thơ city, so something like that. But he didn't stay there. He just came there 1 week and the other week off because he's served as a military judge. So it's something like here, you check the case, you look at the case, and then you come to make to attend the tribunal.
How did your life change after the fall of Saigon?
Okay, at the end of the war, okay, we have a big change. Okay, my father, he was served in the army, so he was arrested, put in the prison. They call it the re-education camp. And my elder sister, she was married, and my brother-in-law was also served in the army of the South Vietnam. Okay, he was a medical doctor, and both were in the re-education camp. So, and my mother at that time was the main house, the breadwinner of the house. Okay, so you can imagine that there is a big change.
What did she do to to make a living?
Okay, at that time, okay, for us first, for my brother and sister, we are tutoring students. So we go around, find if some student need help, we come to their house and help them with their homework, all those things. And for my mother, and I think that my elder sister too, they went to the flea market, buying something and selling something, like trading stuff, and earn the profit between that. That's the main thing. But at the family, we have something like we set up, we joined a kind of company, not hard to describe a company, because it's something like a co-op company. Half is the government, half is the private, and we produce the sleeping mat, like at home. And every day we produce roughly around 2. And they pay something, I don't remember exactly, but they pay around $2, something like 2 piastres per mat. And each mat was produced roughly, in 4 hours, something 4 or 5 hours, we can make a mat. We receive some raw material from the company and make the mat, and then give it back to the company, and they pay us something like 2 or 3 piastres.
So this was at a time when all kinds of trade, all kinds of commerce, all kinds of small capitalism was banned.
Exactly.
And the only type of stores that were allowed were cooperatives like
That's right.
yours.
That's right.
How did your family manage to get such an arrangement?
Oh, we right at the war ended in in April 1975. So the next month, my brother and my mother come to some places where they produce the mat. So we learned the technique, and we make the we bought the tool and bring it home, and we set up something like a place to produce the mat right in the living room, in the first floor of the living room. So we make the mat there.
That was your mom's idea?
That's my mom idea. She's very smart and intelligent lady.
She's very quick to
Yes,
respond
very quick to
to-
respond because my father and my mother were from the north, and they lost some experience with the Communist Party. So at that time, they know what is going on when the communists control the country. So they quickly learned that one, and so the whole family looked like from outside. We produce something. We are not lazy people. We do something at house.
And how was it that the government was willing to enter into this partnership with your family, even though you had, somebody with a bad character in your family?
I know that, but that apply only for the really government company. But the company that we join is something like a Skype club. It's half the government control most. But they need some people to do the work. So that's why they don't care much about your background. They just hire us, okay? Because they need to sell the mat somewhere in the other province or abroad. So they just hire some people. They don't care. Yeah.
So you were doing the work, you were doing the labor, but the cooperative was somebody else had the cooperative under their name.
Exactly. So under their name, they just we just after we produce the mat, we gave it to them, and the selling is their stuff. So we are not involved in the selling. Yeah.
How far did that go to help feed you?
How I think that it's fit. I don't know for the need of the family. Even our needs are very basic. It's cover around maybe 25% or something like that. 25%. But the other we make up like my mother, by the working at the flea market. She make up most of the stuff, and we contribute some by our own tutoring work.
And how difficult was it for you to provide support to your father and your brother-in-law who were in the camps at that time?
I think that my mother visit my father, I think a few times, but every year we send him some package of food and medicine, and we work with all the money we earn from the flea market, and that's it. And for my brother-in-law, he's in a re-education camp in the south, so it's easier for my sister to visit him.
But your father was sent to the north?
To the north.
It was difficult to travel.
Yeah, difficult to travel.
When did you decide to leave the country?
Okay, so to make the story short, okay, right at the 75, I was a high school student, and but the first time I tried to take the entrance exam, I failed because the obvious thing is my background is not good. My father was in the re-education camp, so even when I was in grade 12, I quite a good student. Okay, so the next time in 1976, I take another try again, and I fail again. So in the year in 1977, okay, I decided, okay, to change a little bit in my background. When I filled the form for the university, I changed my background. I said, okay, my father was in the re-education camp, but he was released, and now he's working at home. So I put, the first time I filled out the form, my father was a re-education. The local policeman certified that because that's true. But when I get the form home, before I send it to the university, I add the extra line. I said, my father was released. Okay, he's working out job here. So at that time, I applied for the University of Pedagogy, a kind of teacher program university, and I was accepted. But, obviously, because that thing, I was accepted. However, 2 years after I entered the university, they know my background. So I think that the university official called me to their office and said, okay, something wrong with your background, your CV, fill it again. So I know that definitely they know my background. I have to tell, okay, sorry, okay, my father was still in the re-education camp. And I think that at that time, they intended to kick me out of the university. But for some reason, I don't know, they didn't. So I was keep on in the third year. But I know, at that time, I know that all my future, we have no future at university, in Vietnam. Like my brother, my older sister and brother, they finished university with no job. At that time, the job was always offered by the government. You graduate from university, the party and the government arrange for your job, for your career, but that didn't happen for people with tough background like me. So I can see that we have no future at all in Vietnam. Okay, absolutely no. Yeah, okay. So at that time, I decided definitely I need to go out. Okay, and luckily at that time, one of my older sister and my older brother, they escaped successfully to out of Vietnam, and they were accepted in Canada. Okay, so they escaped in Vietnam I think that in 1979, and they arrived in Canada in early 1980. And later, one of my younger brother, he also escaped successfully in 1981. So I have, in 1981, I have 3 siblings living in Canada.
And what happened next?
Okay, so when I decided to escape from Vietnam, okay, my first trial is in 1980. So at that time, I escaped from Vietnam with my eldest sister and her husband and the son, their son. So he's 3 years old. So we escaped we start from Saigon, okay, and to attack after something like 3 days at the sea. The sea is very rough at that time. So we have the first night we arrived at the sea, there is a big storm, blow us to the north. So we have no idea at all where we were. So after something like, I think that 3-4 days on the sea, we decided to go back to Vietnam by going, because we know that we are going north. So we're going back to going westward. So finally we landed in the middle of the country, something like in Quảng Ngãi province or something like that. So make a long trip. The whole family were arrested, okay? But luckily, my eldest sister and the family, her husband and the son was released very soon, after around 1 or 2 months. But myself, I was put in prison in something like around a year.
Can you back up and go into a little bit more detail? This elder sister, was that the same elder sister with the husband in the re-education camp?
Yes, that's right.
So he had been released by this time?
That's right. He was released in 1977. And after he was released, he found working at some hospital in Saigon.
And the boat that you were on, how big was it?
The boat is, I think that's quite a very good boat. a big one, but I don't remember exactly how many people, but around 150. The land is around, I think, 15 meters. It's quite a big boat. It's quite stable. If a smaller boat, I'm sure that it will be capsized right at the first night. But the boat is quite stable, quite good.
So
But we don't have enough food and water. So after 3 or 4 days, we run out that one, so we decided to go westward.
And you left from the Badang River in the
I
middle
think, yeah, something like that.
from the middle of the
Yeah,
city?
in the middle of the city. Yeah.
And when you hit the mouth of the river, that was when the storm hit?
Maybe beyond that, yeah, something like amount of the river, something beyond that.
And how was it that you couldn't recover your position and orient yourself?
I think at that time, the captain of the house, he's not a very good one. He's not a very good one. He doesn't know how to locate. He doesn't know how to measure the speed of the boat. You need to know about the speed. You need to know some way to find the location. But he's not a very good one. So after 3-4 days, everything fell.
All you knew that you were going north, or you didn't?
We know that we are going north because the what they call GPS, the GPS system, the compass. The compass show us that we are going north. The compass is still working. We know that we are going north, but we don't know where we are.
So
right?
for the first 3 days, you were still hoping that you might hit Hong
something,
Kong.
with Hong Kong something. But after 3, it maybe take another 3-4 days. Maybe we meet, we hit Hong Kong or maybe Hainan or something like that. But we don't know, because if we go further, further east, we go nowhere. So that's why I think that we all decided to go back.
And when you finally hit land in Quang Ngai province, is very far up. It's northern part of the central Vietnam.
It's in the middle. It's quite in the middle. But it's something like a halfway. Halfway you can think that it's halfway between Saigon and Hanoi.
That's a long way up.
That's a long way up. That's right.
What was it like for you? What was prison like for you?
The prison at that time, I was put in the famous prison Chí Hòa for, I think, that for 4-5 months, and that after that I was transferred into something like a labor camp. Okay, where you do odd job for you do to make the rice, the field, working at the rice field, something like that, and after 4-5 months, okay, I was transferred to another labor camp. In labor camp, and at that time, I think that one of my friend and me, we escaped from the prison.
Before we go there, where were these camps?
The first camp is in the southern of the country, in Mỹ Tho. I think that Mỹ Tho, Châu Thành, Mỹ Tho, around 60 kilometers from Saigon, and the second camp is in Tây Ninh. It's around, I think, 100 kilometers west of Saigon.
Near the Cambodian border.
Not very close. We are not at Tây Ninh province. We are in Tây Ninh, but the province is very big. We are in some county, closer, quite far from the border. Yeah.
And what kind of labor did they have you do?
I do. At that time, sometimes you have to go to the rice field, work odd job, to make some build a house for the official there. They take the prisoner as their slave. We come there and you have to make the house for them, something like that. But at the second labor camp, we are transferred there to build another prison. The prison there is very simple, It's makes just good, It's not like a concrete prison. It's make good, but I was transferred there, and the control is very loose. So I think that after a month there, one of my friends and I escaped. Okay, we escaped at around 2 o'clock at night, in the morning, and around we walk around a few hours, 5-6. And we get to some bus station, and we traveled not to Saigon, we will travel back to go to Tây Ninh, because I know that the police will post in somewhere between that bus station and Saigon. So we go to Tây Ninh, and we stay. I think that we stay there until in the evening. Okay, and then we buy the bus to go back to Saigon.
Can you go back to that moment when you made your escape? How can you describe to us what the scene was like?
You know, at that time, because we don't have the prison yet, so the whole team, the whole building team, you know, we have some temporary house. We just sleep there, and there's some. I think that there are 1 or 2 people control. You know, they work like a policeman. They count every day, but I think that they just check the tour at around 12, 1 o'clock, and after that, around 1 hour later, my friend and I, you know, we walk away. We don't have any locked door, something like that. We just walk away, carry our stuff and, you know, money. So we walk around. I think that 3-4 hours.
Did you wear prison clothes? Anything that marked you as prisoners?
No, there's no. But we was, because that's something like a building team. So we just wear the normal clothes. There is nothing about it. If that's the case, then it will be tough. Yeah.
So you just walked and you just...
We just walk. But my friend I'm not very good in orientation, but my friend is very good. He knows where the way, you know. I will just follow him.
And then how did you find money to get on the bus?
Oh, that I think that a few half a month before that, my friend come to visit me from one of my friend at university. They come to visit me and they bring the money to me. So we prepare. I know that it's easy escape. So the first thing we need money, and they brought the money to me at that time. Okay.
And then what happened next?
At that time, but okay, so we escaped. So at that time, it's something like April 1981. Okay, so I escaped back to Saigon, and I go to live not in Saigon, but live in the county in Rạch Giá. Okay, at that time, my brother-in-law was released from the prison, right? And both of the family didn't live in Saigon anymore, but they moved to some quite rural area. He opened a medical clinic, very very simple clinic, you know, for in Rạch Giá, not in Rạch Giá, but you know, in the county around 30 kilometers from Rạch Giá.
So in the countryside.
The countryside, yeah. So yeah, my family. So I moved there. I live with my elder sister family. So my brother-in-law, and my nephew. So 4 of us live in the rural.
Your own family?
No, my eldest. Okay. My family still. My mother was still in Saigon, and my father was released from the camp in around 1981 after 6 years.
Were you able to make contact with them?
Yeah, after that, you know, I moved in 1981, but I escaped from the prison. But sometimes I go back to Saigon, and I saw my father.
Was that risky?
It's quite risky. Yeah, it's quite risky because you know, sometimes I don't have because at that time luckily I have some friend who make something like false document for me. Pretend that I'm some worker working in Rạch Giá, so I have a type document, but it's still very risky. And I go back and forth between Rạch Giá and Saigon, see my family, and we live there.
Under an assumed name the entire time?
Under assumed name the entire time.
And then what happened next?
Okay, so next, that's my first trial. The second trial is 1982. Okay, the whole family, my eldest brother and me, the family of 4, we escaped again, but that time we cannot get out of the river mouth. We come back after a few days, 1 or 2 days in the river, and we have to back to where we were. So, but that's why we are not arrested.
What happened?
Because you have to pass the police station at certain time. If you too late or too early, they risk they know you, they can catch you. So we have to know you have to depend on the time that you escape. So we have to be, if we arrange. I think at the first time we arranged for we pay some price for the policeman and the post. You can only escape them in the time of 2 hours, but no more than that. So the first in 1982, that's why we try once, but we are not successful.
So the second time that you couldn't, what made you miss that window to pass that?
I think that because sometime during the time we start the boat is at close to Cần Thơ, maybe further west, and that time go to the river mouth. It's around, I don't know, maybe 100 kilometers or maybe 150 kilometers. So sometimes it slow down depending on the tide. It's very difficult to. And sometimes when you see some boat that you think that policeman, you have to find some other way. That's all everything back you can get out at the right time. So, but that's the 1982, and in the next year, 1983, we try again, and that's faithful. Okay, so at that time, my eldest sister, her brother, her husband, and one son and one daughter. The son is 6 years old, and the daughter is a few months old, and my younger sister and myself. So family of 6, we escaped in 1983. So at that time, we're going to get to the river mouth. It's around 6 o'clock, and we know that at that time, it's quite bright. So the police at the police station know they run after us and they fight. And because of they scared there is some can of gasoline on board, so the whole boat caught fire. You can imagine that one boat on in the sea and everything caught fire. That's terrible. Okay, but luckily there are a lot of fishing boats around there. Okay, so they came there. They went to rescue us. At that time, the boat is around, around 12 meters long, around 100 people on the boat, and for myself, we are trying to jump into the sea because I sit next to my nephew. I'm very close to him. I jump to the sea, tell him to jump after me, and I carry him. So at that time, I don't think that I can swim very much. But at that time, a lot of fishermen come to rescue us. So they carry me and my nephew to their boat. Okay. So for some reason, my brother-in-law and my younger sister can go to the fishing boat too. But unfortunately, my elder sister and my niece didn't make up.
She was a baby.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that time I have to go into the deck first, and then in the hall, and I have to push. I have to go that and push my nephew to the deck first. And both of us, I jump first to the sea, and my nephew jump after me. I carry him, and some fishermen come to rescue us, and they put us in the fishing boat.
Was the hull filling up with smoke at that time?
Not yet, but it's not. But there's some people might be, the policeman might find some people at that time. They find. It's not very clear to the picture. It's very clear to me, but because the boat caught fire, sometimes it will capsize.
And was it a big scramble for everybody to?
Yes, that's right. That's right. People panic, yeah, you know, because the way to get to the hole is something like, I don't know, it's very small, not very small, but small enough. And it's high, so it's difficult to get out. So at that time, I think that my elder sister still but for some reason, you know, because it's very difficult to escape. Some people can escape. Some people on the deck can escape easily, but you know, it's difficult. So at that time, you know, my eldest sister and my niece didn't make it. So the whole family was put later. We were in the fishing boat, and they transferred us in the boat of the policeman. And you can imagine that my nephew is only 6 years old. So he, you know, his mother passed away at that time, so 6 years old. So that's in 1983.
What did they do to you when they caught you?
I think that my brother-in-law, my younger sister, and my nephew, they were released, something like were released only a few days after that, maybe 1 week. But myself, I was put in prison about 5 months. So that's a life sentence, 5 months. So after that, I was released.
But they didn't figure that you were the same person
No.
who escaped?
You know, the control, they have a very loose way to, you know, they don't know who you are. They don't have a telephone. So what you claim, they just write down. Whether you believe or not, I don't know. But they just write because they have no way to check it, to check, okay?
So you were still giving false name?
False name, that's right. So and at that time I was, you know, after 4 or 5 years in prison, I was released. And I go back into Saigon, but to my house. But I come there only at night, where, you know, at night, something like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, where people sleep, and I sneak into the house, you know. Nobody, no neighbor can recognize me. And then I stay there until I waiting for the next, because at that time I know that I have no future at all.
What was your second time in prison like?
The second time is almost like the first one. We do odd job, you know, go to work in the rice field, and also work to build the labor, and also for the field for some official. And
did you ever fear for your life? Did you ever fear? Were conditions hard enough that you feared?
No, I think that I'm okay. I'm easy to get along. So I don't feel it's tough. Some of my friends complain that it's tough, but myself, I think that's okay. Okay, they ask me to do something, I just go to ask, because I know that I'm top just here.
Did I hear you correctly? It's 5 years? 5 months?
5 months. 5 months.
Okay, I think at one point you said 5 years, so
No, sorry.
I'll correct it again.
Sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
Yeah, they can.
So the second time you were in prison, it was for 5 months?
5 months, sorry.
And then they released you?
That's right. They released me, so I was so that after 5 months. So the next year, in 1984, at that time I decided not to go with my nephew, because it's very tough for me. If, you know, I was a single. If I die, maybe my family, you know, mourn for a few years, but I don't have any responsibility to anyone else. But if I will go with my nephew, it's very tough to see if travel abroad on a risky boat, and you have no food and no water, you can die in front of me. So I dare not to go with him. So in 1984, I decided to go by myself. Okay. At that time I started in Long An, but we still escape from the Saigon River. So that's April 21st of 1984. And the captain at that time, he was a very good one. He served in the Navy of the South Vietnam. He was a major or lieutenant colonel or something like that. And he knows the road very well, the sea very well. And we escaped from Vietnam on April 21st. Okay, and 3 days after that, we were on the sea. okay? And I saw some airplane, some U.S. airplane. I think that the pilot flew over our boat. They show us the way. He showed us the way to go ahead. So we follow his direction. And about 2 hours later, we saw a very big ship. I think that we carried the French flag or something. So it's around 4 o'clock.
How did he show you the way?
Okay, he fly, and he fly around, and he shows us something like he go in one direction, slowly, and if we didn't follow, so we know that he flew quite. We can see the pilot, so we can see he flew the way he fly this way, so we just follow. So after we follow this way, he something like he say goodbye and flew away. So around after 2 hours, we saw a very big ship. And with the French, and the ship is very big, and our ship is small. So the captain said that, okay, if we come closer, the wave might hit the boat, and we can capsize. So we cannot come closer. And at that time, the big ship threw a rope to the sea so that we can hold the rope and tie it to our boat. So we can go there. But, it's very rough. We cannot come closer. So the captain asked for a volunteer, to jump to the sea to get a rope, okay? And at that time, I think that the boat is around 10 meter long, with around 70 people on the boat. And I volunteer. I jump to the sea. I'm not a very good swimmer, but I can swim. I jump to the sea. But after 3 days, it turned out I am too tired, okay? So I cannot get to the rope. After I swim around, I think 15 meters, I'm too tired. So the man on my boat throw another rope, throw the sea to me, and I catch the boat, I come back to my, so at last we cannot get to the big ship rope.
What was the distance?
The distance is around 15 meters.
50?
50. It's quite rough, but we can come. The captain said that if you come closer, we can capsize. So that's the way. So after 4, I think after 1 or 2 hours like that, we cannot make it. So the big ship keep going on his way, and we keep on. Okay, but on the next day, on the 4th day, we arrive. We come to some oil platform of Malaysia, and I think that at that time we can come. We can come to the oil platform, and they gave us some food, water, and the map, also the map, and some. I think we have a map, but they gave the new map or something like that, the compass, and oil. So we keep going on. That's on the 4th day, and we keep on for another 2-3 days. And the captain, as I said, he's a very good sailor. He came right at the city of it's quite a tourist city in Malaysia. So we get there around 10 o'clock in the morning, and the local police come there to check our background and everything, fill out the form, and they transfer us on a temporary refugee camp around 30 kilometers from the city of Maran. Okay, that's April 28.
They told you up there, or they?
No, they gave us they gave a bus, to carry the whole 70s. In that we traveled in 70, but right the night before the arrival, one lady died for some reason.
So you got off the boat. You were traveling by land.
By land. No, when we travel on the boat, after we landed, the police come to check on our background, and they gave the bus. They gave us to carry us everybody to the temporary camp.
But en route on this bus, someone died.
No, on the arrival before the night before we arrived to the coast, that there is a lady, because maybe she got sick or something like that, and up to now nobody knows her name. Okay, so we have to throw her body to the sea on the same night, just before we arrived. So we unfortunately we don't know her name at that time. So after 4 days at the temporary camp, I was transferred to Pulau Vidam. That's my first refugee camp.
You got back on the boat.
We went back to the boat. At that time, the UN, they called UNHCR, United Nations High Commission of Refugees. That's the boat from them, and they carry us from the temporary camp to Pulau Vidam.
What was life like on Pulau Vidam?
I like it very much. I know that I will go to a frequently in the end, no matter how long I wait. Okay, but I will go someday definitely, and I so I enjoy the life there. We don't have anything to read, nothing. Almost just work there, just do volunteer work, like I did, and take some courses. I know some English at that time, so I work as a teacher, also as an interpreter and translator, whatever. And I study some classes, like one is a typewriting class, and another is a mechanic class. I think I graded a mechanic class, but I'm still not very good at mechanic now. So I took some volunteer work and take some classes over there.
How long were you there for?
I was in Pulau Vidam for, I think, 4 months. At that time, the Canadian delegation, they came every month. And I think that the first time they tried to ask our sibling in Montreal to sponsor me. But at that time, they own a student. Or I have 3 siblings and own a student. So financial, they cannot support me. So in the end, the government of Quebec sponsored me.
Your siblings had been in Canada for about 5 years.
At that time it's around 5 years. My eldest, my elder sister and elder brother, and my youngest 5 years, and my younger brother around 3 years. They were student. They were Concordia University student at that time.
So because of them, you always knew that you were going to go to Canada.
Yes, and I know the life through them, through their letter. They send letter. They describe the life in Canada. So I think I'm quite acquainted. And I know roughly an idea about how Canada works. So I am not very surprised when I come to Canada.
And you knew that you were going to go to Montreal.
So at that time, after I think totally 10 months, 9 to 10 months in both 2 camps, the Pulau Vidam and Sergei Bishi camp, and I arrived in Canada in I think that February the 6th of 1985. It's a very cold day. You imagine that in Malaysia, it's 26, I think maybe more than that, 30 plus degree. And at that time, Montreal, I expect something like minus 15, minus 10, minus 15 or something like that. Very cold, very big difference.
And other than that, what were your first impressions?
I think that when I first arrived in Canada, I know roughly the idea, but we're quite impressed with the way people line up. They don't push people around, Everything at the bus station. When you come, everyone in the line. And they go somewhere, they go to a restaurant, something like that, they line up. Go into some government service, okay, they line up. That's the first thing. That's very impressive. And it's not happened in Vietnam at that time. I don't know now, but that's the way.
And where did you stay?
Okay, so at that time, we the whole family, my brother and sister stay in Montreal. I went there in February 1985, and we stayed in the NDC area, new, I don't know what they call it, NDC, Notre Dame de Grâce, Notre Dame de Grâce, okay, area. And a few days after I arrived, I applied to attend the university at that time. But and I checked something like the English test, the TOEFL, and I prepared everything. So I took my English test in sometime in April, okay, and I passed it. So when I entered the Concordia, accepted me in September 1985.
Did you take any English training?
I studied in Vietnam. I studied in Vietnam. Not in Canada. At that time, when I was accepted by the government, they allowed me to attend a language course, but that's in French. That's a coffee, This was from I think that is 7 months, from April 85, and it ended up sometime in November. So 7 months of language in French.
So you knew some English when you were in Vietnam?
I know English because
you probably learned on the island as well?
Not very much, because in Vietnam, I told you at 75, I was high school. I was close to finish high school, so I prepared to study abroad. So I already, some English there. At that time, before I left, I think I can read, most of the newspaper without any newspaper, and also the books, novel in French and English, not a big difficulty.
So you didn't take any, you didn't need any.
When I teaching, no, I didn't.
And you got
on the refugee camp, I worked as a teacher, and there's some, some volunteer, social worker from Australia. She teach us. She taught, on the teacher more English, something like that. But that's the way it's training. I got some training on refugee camp.
So you passed the TOEFL?
I passed the TOEFL. So at that time, I have to attend full time at Coffee, and in the summer I attend Concordia as an independent student, because I was not accepted yet. I was accepted later, sometime in August. But in the summer, I only took as an independent student. And I was accepted, they can transfer my credit into the official program. So I start Concordia in the summer, in May, right? And I officially entered university in September. And I finished my bachelor degree in mathematics 1 year after that. In 1 year, I finished in August 1996. Why is that? It's a bachelor.
That's a 4 years worth of.
It's at Concordia, as you know, that is something like for the mathematics program. It's something like require 90 credit, right? It's something like if you go all the way the CJ, you can take off one year. Right, 4 years and another, you need another something like 3 years. It depends on the program. Some engineering, maybe you require 120, 100, but for bachelor, for the mathematics, it's require only 90 degree, 90 credit.
90. How many courses is that?
90 credit is a 30 course. And how do I arrange that? Okay, for 90 credit in 1 year, exactly is when I was in the summer, I took 4. Right? I took 4. In the next term, when I officially accepted, I took 6. They allow only 5, but because my credit is very good, my mark is very good, so they allow me to take 6. And next term, I asked for special permission from the chairman, because the chairman, I'm quite close to the chairman. He teach me and he liked my work, so he allowed me to check an 7. Normally, all the normal student can take only 6 or 5, right? But I take 7. Need that permission. And at that time, the chairman know me. Okay, he said because all my courses are at the second year and the third year. So I asked him, okay, why I need to take the first year? Because I have also some background in Vietnam. as I told you, I nearly finished. I'm in the third year at Vietnam, so I asked for some friend to send me some, some certification, some document that I have only passed, and the chairman know my ability, my academic ability. So he said, okay, whatever you want, tell me. You want to waive? Okay, I said I need to graduate as soon as possible. So he waived me, okay, 30 credit. I need only, instead of finishing 30 courses, I need only to finish 20. Okay. So after the first 3 terms, I got 18 courses, right? In the summer, I took another 2 reading courses, and the reading course is, the reading course is normally it's quite tough because the teacher we don't have any official class. The teacher just gave some book. You read by themselves, and you report to him every 2 weeks or so. So after in the end, I finished everything in August 1986, and the convocation is only at that time only once a year in June. So I missed the convocation for my bachelor. I have to wait until the next year. But at that time, I started the master program in September, and I finished my master a year after that in August 1987.
In what?
In mathematics too. Okay. So most of the master thesis does not require an original work, right? So you can make a survey and you consider it as a thesis, but mine is original because I got some, after a year after that, after finishing my master program, I published in some journal. So that's my first publication. I can have it here. I can have it. Okay. So that's the story. So I in June 1987, I attended convocation for my bachelor degree, and as I got all the award. The first one is Eric Orkander Medal, awarded to the highest ranking student graduated from the Department of Mathematics. And the second one is the mapping medal. It's awarded to the highest ranking student graduating from the Faculty of Science. And the last one is the Governor General Award, awarded to the highest ranking student at the university at that time. So I got 3 medals at the time.
This is the second year after you arrived.
Exactly, that's the second year after arriving. And also I'm quite proud of my master work at that time because it's original. It's original. That means I published. I have some record of publication. Yeah. And in August, so in September, I decided to go to the University of Toronto to attend my PhD in mathematics. Okay. So I graduated from UT in April 1991, 4 years after that.
So the first year you were under government sponsorship?
I was under government, but after that, when they offer us the language course, as I said, and they pay some allowance, something I don't remember, around 100 per week. And when I was a Concordia student, I also received the grant and all the scholarship, not the scholarship, the grant and from there's some small student loan. At that time, the government of Quebec is quite generous. They gave us, they gave you some loan and some also the grant is higher. The grant is a lot. So we received the money from the government of Quebec for the sponsorship program. It's around in first 7 to 9 months. So everything ends in November. At that time, I was a full-time student at Concordia.
And the coffee program they offered you in May.
They offered you May in April. In April.
That's a French language training.
It's French language training. And you can see that's a full-time. That's full-time study program, right? I have to attend both, and I have to attend the Concordia. I took 4 courses at Concordia at that time. So I missed some classes. I missed some classes. If the class is in at the daytime, I just get the textbook, and and work without any attending any classes.
So how many hours of studying did you do during that time? A day?
For the coffee, I have to attend from 9 to 3. I think 9 to 3 or 9 to 3. And for the Concordia, for the university, for 4 courses, I need to attend. I think that for each course, 2 classes, 2 or 3 classes, depending how long. If 1 hour, then 3 classes. If 2 classes, then 1 hour and a half, something like that.
And then you went home and you did the homework. So
I went home and did so. And that's, as I said, in it, I am quite confident in my ability. So I know that my ability is quite good. I just take a quick look at what the teacher said in the textbook or in the note or textbook, and I quite handle very easily. Yeah.
So by 1991, you're in Toronto.
Yeah.
You've got a PhD in mathematics now. Yeah. What happened next?
That's after I spent around 5 years working as a researcher, doing research and teaching at University of Montreal and then McGill University. Okay, and after that, in 1996, I decided to move it into the private sector. Okay, so at that time, I also some type of degree in actuarial science. So I moved to private sector.
And you work for?
Currently I'm working as a software developer. Since 1996 to now, I'm working as a software developer for a company in Toronto. Okay.
So that's another career. That's a third career.
It's quite a third career. Yeah. It's actuarial science is some mathematics, but it's quite different. It's kind of discrete. It involves some finance, but it's not something. My second career is completely pure math. It's about number theory. Yeah.
So if you think about your integration, what were some of the obstacles that you faced?
For my integration, I think that I'm integrated pretty well without much difficulty. I know the language. I still have accent, I know that. But I think that I understand people. The people that understand me, I know the life of Canada. The way people don't push people on the other around. People don't lie up. People pay respect to other. You are free to know. So I love the life in Canada. I consider it's something like home. In Vietnam, you have only one information in something like 10, 20 newspapers at that time. But here you can have different opinion. They have only one opinion in Vietnam, but now you can vary from left to right, different political perspective, depending on your perspective.
And how long did it take for you to feel at home in Canada?
I think that around 2-3 years when I traveled to the U.S. and came back to Canada on a plane. I know that at that time I missed my place in Canada. I missed the convenience store at the corner. I missed my friend. So at that time I think, okay, this is. But I still attached very much to Vietnam up to now. Even I do not return for the last 34 years.
"40 years later now, how do you feel about the life that you and your family have made here in Canada?"
I think that for my family, I think all my family moved here. My parents moved to Canada in 1990. So we sponsored them. At that time, we sponsored them. And so the whole family come here. And my younger sister arrived in Canada at the same time. So the whole family.
And your nephew made it?
My nephew made it, and he's quite happy life. He's married. He's a very nice, supporting wife and 3 kids. I have the picture of him, and I'm very proud of him. At that time in Vietnam, I consider him as my, I live very close to him. So I consider him as my son. So I'm very proud of his success.
What are your general thoughts about Canada's humanitarian response to that?
I think that for that one, I think that Australia and Canada, let work on the humanitarian work. We sponsor a lot of refugees per capita in the world, more than any other country. So that's good because when I live in the world, the atrocity of the world, the Vietnam at that time treat us as the Vietnam government treats us as second class. You have no future, and Canada opened their arm to help us at that time. So I appreciate a lot, and I also told my kid I have one daughter and one son. I always tell them about the story. You need to help other people when they need your help.
And what can future generations of Canadians learn from your personal experiences?
Yeah, war, that's the war. All the stories start with the end of the war. The war is no one won the war. We know, I read enough about, I involved in the war, but we don't want to repeat the reason, everything, the reason, the cause, the atrocity of the war. But after the 75, the very bad thing about the government and the party is that they divided the country, the population in two kinds. One is the winner, the other a loser. They consider themselves as winner and consider all the other people as loser.
So what can future generations of Canadians learn from your personal experiences?
Yeah, so we start back at the end of the war. I don't want to repeat on the thing about the war, the cause and the atrocity, but I think that the very bad thing of the war is that the government and the Communist Party divided the population into two kinds, winner and loser. They consider themselves as winner, and other is the other side of the battle as a loser, and treat us like a second-class citizen. You have no future as well. So that's very bad to start with. Okay, so if we repeat it again, I think that whether the government and the party learn any lesson from that, should they treat the other side of the war as loser, that's a very bad thing. So for the next generation, we have to keep that in mind. We don't hate them, but we have to improve the life in Vietnam so that the next generation should understand, should treat people well. We are united. We are a united country. So there is no reason we divided ourselves. Why? Because, the South or the North are the same people. That's I want to, for the generation in Vietnam, I just want to repeat that. We have to work very hard. The government also want to control. That's the way they control the power. But, we have to work very hard to make sure that everyone are treated equally. Or almost equally, and we have everything, must have chance and freedom on those things. That's the generation in Vietnam. But for the generation in here, like my daughter and son, I think that they should love the way. They should love they should know well the price of the freedom. Freedom is not free. You have to do something to preserve it. All right? Like fairness and everything. It's quite fair. It's quite free in Canada. It's not completely. Always you have some people there to push you around. So we have to work to make everything to good. That's my what I can say to the next generation in Canada.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
No. So I appreciate very much for your own involvement in the program. Give us some chance to show the next generation on our experience.
Thank you very much for sharing your experiences.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us about some of your pictures?
So my picture, this is the picture when I was in the refugee camp on Freddom. I was the third from the left, okay, here, and on a friend. I still keep contact with him. He's in Australia, so still talking to him up to now.
Can you hold it?
So this is myself is the third from the left. So that's the first one. The second one is picture. I was at the convocation 1987 when I received the Governor General Award. Okay. And this picture when I was in at the convocation 91 at the University of Toronto. Okay.
That's your mom?
Yeah, my mom, my father, and my nephew. He's at that time he was 14 years old, so I'm very proud. Very still close. He live in Mississauga, so we just met him. We just have a joint vacation with him 2 weeks ago. Okay, so that's him. And as I said, this is something like my first publication, professional publication. That's my master thesis work. So I published in journal number theory. It's quite a good journal in the field. Okay. Yeah, and that's it. And as I said, that when I graduated at the convocation 86, I received a Type 3 medal. The Eric O'Connor and the mapping medal and the Governor General Award. And that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
What did you want to share your
This is the Governor General Award.